Welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the ColdFusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition. It's episode 146, May 3rd, 2022. I'm Gavin Pickin, and I'm joined by Dan Cow today.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you to our sponsor, Ortus Solutions, the maker of ColdBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, TestBox, all the boxes. And there's a few ways that we can say thanks back to Ortus Solutions, which are...
Yeah, I mean, we want you guys to go, obviously, like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube, including this one, and you can watch live every week and harass us in the chat, not the Slack chat, the YouTube chat. Also, we're trying to get more stars and forks in our repo, so help Ortus reach for the stars. And if you get on to ForgeBox, there's a CommandBox-GitHub module, and if you run that from inside of one of your repos, it'll automatically go and star in basically, all the repos that you're using, all the dependencies. So it'll help Ortus, but also other developers too that are using ForgeBox. And also, obviously subscribe to our podcast. If you guys are listening on your podcast player and not watching, please basically subscribe to that and leave us a review, tell your friends. And then we also have free and paid accounts on CFCasts, which release new content every week. And then we have an Ortus book too. Ortus has released a 102 ColdBox HMVC quick tips and tricks book, which is available on Gumroad. And apparently, Louis said that we're releasing like 4 or 5 more any day now. So I'll have to start writing.
We'll have to change the name of the book then.
Yeah.
Right, we also have Patreon support. So we have about 35 Patreon supporters right now, which provide 92% of the funding for our Modernize or Die podcast. The Patreon site is patreon.com/Ortus Solutions.
Yep. So thanks, sponsors. Without you guys, we couldn't do this. But yeah, let's get on with the news. So we got some interesting news to start off. And the first thing is, last week we announced Into the Box dates were semi 100%-ish finalized. Now they are set in stone, signed in blood. So September 6th through the 8th, we're going to be in Houston, Texas again. Are you excited, Dan?
I'm stoked. Actually, it's funny. With Ortus, I've been in Houston a couple times, and the city's great. I love it.
Yep, so we're looking forward to that. But just a reminder, why did we change the dates? Because, a lot of nightmares for everybody. Well, basically, at the end of the day, we want what's best for the ColdFusion community, and Adobe's conference was possibly scheduled right after ours, and that would have left no time for people to be able to make both conferences. And we decided if we moved it, there's a chance that some people could make both, and so if we could make that possible, both conferences will win. Better for the community, better for everybody. So we decided to bite the bullet and move it. We just hope that Adobe's final dates, whenever they release them officially, are close to where they were, because if we moved it for nothing, it'll be like, oh man. But we'll find out. So, but we're still waiting for their dates. I keep bugging Mark Takata, and he's waiting for the final approval from legal and marketing and all the rest. So we'll tell you soon. But excited. So final dates. So sign up for Into the Box.
Well, speaking of final dates, because we moved the dates for Into the Box, we extended the call for speaker deadline. Now, it was April 30th, but because every single date so far that we've talked about has had an ish or a sort of or about on the end, we're just going to keep going with it. We may change to the schedule. We said April 30th, but the link is still live. So if you have an idea for a session or for whatever stuff that we need to hear, by all means, go ahead and sign up for it. The link will be in the chat. And put down some ideas, or even if you want to see something, if you can't present on it, let us know what you want to see.
Yeah, for sure. And for those watching as well, we'll share the screen real quick. It's still here. You can still fill that out. So go ahead, fill that out. And right now, I think we've got, did you already say, but we got like 20 people submitted. We got over 50 sessions submitted. Not all of them are Nolan's, but he did submit quite a few. Thank you, Nolan. But yeah, we got lots of good sessions, and we're going to be meeting about that schedule very soon. So we will have to close it off But basically, right up until that meeting, I'm hoping we can keep it open to get the last couple more topics. So we should have that information very soon. We're meeting to discuss the workshops really soon as well. So we're going to have, I think, 5 at least workshops. So those are available. And early bird is still available, and we extended that till May 30th as well because, again, we changed the dates and we didn't think that was fair. And so we've seen since we've announced the dates, tickets are being purchased. The numbers are adding up quickly, so we're all excited.
Yeah, it is kind of exciting. Even though the dates have changed, people have already bought tickets to come, which is exciting.
Yeah,
so,
very much
other stuff
so.
that's going on. Oh, sorry, Gavin.
Yeah, that's okay. So, the next thing on the list is Adobe ColdFusion Developer Week 2022. We announced that they released these dates last week. So July 18th to the 22nd is registered for free. So I'm excited to see it. Now, these speakers are the 2021 speakers, so they should be updating this soon. But you can go and register, and I'm sure that they'll probably have a good number of these speakers again this year. So it's a safe bet that there's going to be some great content there. And they're changing their style up. So I don't know if you guys remember Ortus Developer Week or ColdBox Developer Week back in the day. We used to do like 5 days, like a couple of sessions in the morning, a couple in the afternoon, and that's the sort of the format they're following. So it means you can sort of do a little bit of work, take a break, do a little bit of work, take a break, and get all those sessions. So it looks like a good format. So looking forward to that one as well. And we also have a whole bunch of releases and updates that have come out too.
All right, basic news. There's that the newest version of Lucee is out, version 5.3.9.131, or as I like to call it, the latest one. All right. Last week, the stable release was made available. It's available in CommandBox as well as from the Lucee download site, which is download.lucee.org.
Yep, and then we also have CommandBox 5.5.0, which was released on top of that version. And the big thing about 5.3.9 and CommandBox is 5.5.0, no more Log4j1. So Log4j1 has been completely removed. And because of that, there was a last-minute change when they were making those changes in Lucee, and of course there was something in CommandBox that didn't work quite right. So one of the endpoints didn't work because something deep inside of Java somewhere was looking for Log4j1. So Brad and I figured out what to do. He got 5.5.1 released right away, and that solved the issue there with some Git endpoints and some Log4j stuff. So long story short, we said, hey, you don't need a logger. You don't need a logger. If you're going to go for that, you don't need it. So that's out as well.
Well, here's a question, actually. So Peter Miri in the chat was asking M1 Max support. Is that a question or is it a statement? Does it actually do M1 Max support now?
I believe so. That some of the changes they made in there should work on the M1 Mac. So it's a big release in a lot of ways. But yeah, I know the Lucee, the Log4j1 removal was a big deal. So. And with that being said, the CommandBox 3.5.0 Docker images have already been released. John's been busy, and he's released that. We have a blog post up on the Ortus website as well. So if you go see that, it'll tell you all about it. But like I said, the big deal is there. It's running on CommandBox 5.5.1, which uses the 5.3.9, and now we no longer have that the Log4j stuff. There's a whole bunch of other runware changes in there and a lot of other things too, which is more complicated than I need to know about. So a lot of great stuff in there. So yeah, if you guys are using Docker images, recommend checking those out, having a look and see what's available. And then we should have that available right away. So definitely awesome. If you guys are worried about security, that's a big thing there. So very cool.
It's amazing. The more I get to know about Ortus, just in general, about how much non-ColdFusion stuff that there is, but like the Docker, and this next release, we have a ColdBox Elixir version 4. So hot off the presses, ColdBox Elixir version 4 is available on NPM. Now, I guess NPM, not ForgeBox. This is actually a JavaScript-based tool. It's a massive upgrade of the tool. Shouldn't require any API changes. If you're just using the Elixir methods. However, if you've done Webpack customizations, obviously go through and test everything, make sure it works. There's a migration guide for you to help upgrading. And Gavin, I have a quick question for you. I'm not 100% sure I know what ColdBox Elixir actually is. I know that it does stuff with Webpack, but
yeah, so it's basically what we started using after we used Grunt and then Gulp. And then, instead of trying to use Webpack, which blow your brains out, it's pretty bad. So Elixir wraps it up nicely and does all the Webpack stuff for you under the covers. And so this, I think, gets you up to like Webpack 5, and it lets you run on like Node 16. So it's a big improvement there, and it's a big performance upgrade for sure. But basically, if you're using, Vue single page files and you want to, transpose them, or you're doing compilations and, minification and all that stuff, usually most people are using Webpack these days. So using ColdBox Elixir makes it really easy. And then, of course, with ColdBox, we have some conventions in place. You don't have to make any hard decisions, and it, handles a lot of the basics for you. So there's like a ColdBox helper that'll help you tie into those, so you can have your cache busting and everything. It's pretty neat. So it's definitely a cool little tool. And if you're using like Vue.js and you've got a build pipeline for your npm assets, highly recommend it. So check that out.
Very cool. All right. Also, with new releases, CFWheels 2.3 release candidates out. Now, this version's been cooking for a while, and there's been a lot of contributors, which is great. The community kind of building into it. But what's interesting about this is that this was the first release with the new CI pipeline in place, and it goes right to the new CI pipeline's in place, and so this is a release candidate to make sure that all the glitches or anything are out. It is available. There's a blog post on the CFWheels.org website that we are posting right now.
Yep, I sure am. I'm a little behind.
Go check that out if you're a CFWheels user or want to go check it out. This might be the opportunity.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I had to mute myself from the thing. Someone was trying to get into my room. I'm like, no, you can't do that. So but Dan still heard me. He's like, oh, gosh.
Suddenly kids start climbing over the back of the chairs. It just shows that we're live.
Yep. Sorry about that, everybody. But yeah, I forgot Dan could still hear me. So he looked at me really funny, like, uh-oh, did I not mute it? Whoops. Anyway, so lots more going on. Coming up after that, we got a whole bunch of webinars, meetups, and workshops. And so the next one coming up is, in case you missed it, Charlie did a really great session on the Online ColdFusion Meetup last week, and that was updating the Java underlying ColdFusion. And that can get really confusing. So trust me, you want to watch his session there. And, Charlie being Charlie, he did a great job and went through all the details, answered lots of questions. So definitely a very good one.
Yeah.
Yep. And then up next, we also had a webinar from Ortus, right?
We did. Now, this also goes along. This is Eric Peterson yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, it was the 29th. So I guess it was Friday. Did a great presentation on basically learning how to integrate CB security into an application, and went through and talked about all kinds of different methods between passwords, API tokens, JWTs, because I don't like saying JOTs, although JOTs is the official name for JWTs. We're using a combination of all three. Really worth watching, just for the overall knowledge, even if you aren't using ColdBox or CB security, the overall knowledge on it was pretty good. So the link is up there. It's on CFCasts. I think, is this outside the paywall or?
This one is free. Yeah.
This one's free. Okay.
Yep. We try and make our webinars free, and actually we'll tell you a little bit more about what else we're making free soon as well.
All right. Stay tuned for that.
Yep. And then we had another session last week. It was from the CF Hawaii CFUG, and that was actually with Nick. And so Nick, I always get his name wrong, Kaikowski, but he did it ORM. So if you guys are wanting to learn a bit more about ORMs, he's the right person to listen to, and that was a good session. I have to watch the rest of it, I must admit. Okay.
There we go. All right. Also coming up, we have with our very own Michael Bourne. The next webinar that we have is in May. This is an Ortus webinar. It's called Clearing the Fuzzies on Fuzzy Search with Michael Bourne. Basically, to walk through using search or walk through the world of search in this webinar, show you why your database search is not smart enough, explains the basics of how fuzzy search works, how to use CB ElasticSearch to bring the power of fuzzy searching to your CF application. Now, those of you that aren't sure what fuzzy searching actually is, basically think about keywords, but then get into the whole ideas of misspellings and synonyms and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the idea behind this. It's allowing more people to find more stuff on your site.
Yep, exactly. It makes a big difference. Trust me, we're in the process of adding to ForgeBox because we realize that people can't type. So that'll be available for ForgeBox really soon. Yeah, I mistype stuff all the time. So yeah, we've been working on that, and we'll be releasing that as well.
Cool. Also coming up on May 12th, in a week, about a week and a half, this is part of the Online ColdFusion Meetup run by Charlie Earhart. It's called Code Reuse and ColdFusion. Is spaghetti code still spaghetti if it's dry? Now, for those of you that didn't get that, dry, D-R-Y, stands for...
Don't repeat yourself.
Don't repeat yourself.
Don't repeat yourself. Yep.
Now, this is being presented by Gavin Pickin.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, so that's going to be May 12th, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific, and you'll find out exactly what the difference is between dry and wet code and which one's better and, more importantly, why. So the whole idea of this one is, we write code once, but usually we read it over and over and over again, and maintaining our code is 90% of our job and 90% of our nightmares, right? So code reuse is our friend, and we'll find out why it's better and more maintainable and better for your developer life. So... some of you might think, reusing code, why do you want to do that? You already are. You just didn't know it. Well, maybe some of you didn't know it. Most of you do. But we'll talk about different types that ColdFusion allows you to do and pros and cons of each, and maybe a few things you didn't know. So that session will be a pretty fun one. And then I've got a little series going, actually, so there'll be more coming after this in a similar theme. So sort of more software craftsmanship type stuff. So hopefully you guys will join us for that. So... Again, Charlie's Online CF Meetup. It's always a good time.
Cool.
Okay, and then we also have Adobe workshops. So they've got several workshops coming up here soon. They're one-day workshops. The next two, I believe, are in the European time zone. So they'll be, basically the times we give you are really early for us in the US. But they're great sessions. Basically, one-day training covers all the facets of Adobe ColdFusion, and very much like their certificate training. So what dates do they have coming up for that?
Couple dates and times. On Tuesday, May 14th, so in about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks or so. All right, that's at 9 a.m. CET. Now, is that Central European time?
Yep, Central European time, and that's with Damien.
Cool. All right, by Damien Bruadon. Okay. Next one's coming up on June 22nd. And again, that's by Damien as well. We don't have topics for these. We just have dates and times. And so May 14th at 9 a.m. CET. Wednesday, June 22nd. And again, that's also at 9 a.m. CET.
Yep. And then if you go to the actual website links that I posted in the chat, or you can see in the show notes, it does give you a little bit more information on it. For those watching, you can see if you click Learn More here, it'll give you sort of the rundown of each of them. And they're, they got a little breakdown here. The agenda sort of breaks it down even more. So you can see, the icebreaker, looking at data types, then constructs, reusing code. Hey, they're stealing my ideas. Application framework, database operations, object-oriented programming, and then ORMs, error handling, forms. So it really does cover a bit of everything. So it looks like a great intro session, or maybe a touch-up if you're wanting to do your certification soon. And I'm sure that Adobe will be offering the certification with their conference coming up in October-ish when they finally announce that. So
as soon as they are 100%, not just 100%.
Yep, exactly. So if you want the full list, we'll be sharing that too, and that'll be available, on Adobe's site. And they should be posting previous videos up there as well. I asked Mark Takata about his previous webinar, and he said that he's trying to find the link himself. So as soon as he gets it from the right people, he'll make it more available. So, okay, lots of news. As I said, we have everything going on there. But let's talk about CFCasts. So CFCast.com, it's our free and paid video training site. So we got some news. So Into the Box 2022, right, where the dates are finalized. So in an effort to keep you guys a little more excited about the upcoming conference, we've made a whole bunch of the videos in the Into the Box series free. So I'm going to share my screen again for those watching, but you'll see that we've picked a few of the ones out of there that are listed as free, so you can watch both the keynotes. You can watch the CBY one with Grant. You can watch the scheduling tasks the human way with Brad.
Which I was watching last night, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, there's one of yours. Using TestBox to refactor old code with Dan Card. And we got a couple more over here. Oh, so Luis Mahano with ContentBox 5. And then Harvey with testing APIs with TestBox. And then another one of yours, adding ColdBox and REST API to existing code base. So lots of stuff from Dan. So if you want more Dan, go check out.
Let's not put that as an advertising point.
But yeah, they're good sessions too. Very good sessions. So yeah, so we put a few of them out there, and then all of the publish your ForgeBox, your first ForgeBox package videos in my series that I've been releasing on CFCasts is now free as well. So
good to watch.
Yeah, we wanted to let you guys be able to use them, get to know ForgeBox. There's no point putting that behind a paid paywall there, so we wanted to give that for free. So go check out this great new free content if you're not a subscriber. If you are, sorry, you've got all of that and more. You get to watch the rest of the ITV videos too. So what else do we have?
Well, we've got a couple things coming up. Is Gavin? You have yours on publishing ForgeBox. Well, we've got a couple new series actually coming out in the near future on CFCasts. We have the ForgeBox module of the week and the VS Code hints that we do here on the blog post, but we're actually republishing them up there as little vignettes, basically, to kind of help make that more accessible and easier to find.
Yeah, so that's something we just wanted to do there because, obviously the podcast, most of the news kind of out of date after a month or two, but those VS Code, hints and tips and those ForgeBox modules, they're really great and they're useful after the fact. So we're going to make those available. We're going to be throwing them up on CFCasts, and we'll probably throw them up on YouTube too, just to get them out there so more people can find out. So we'll make playlists. That way you can guys go through and get your fix of your ForgeBox modules and your VS Code hints and tips. So that's pretty cool. And again,
plus all the stuff that we've already mentioned, your ForgeBox package, as well as Eric Peterson CB Security thing, are up there also.
Yep, exactly. And there should be 2 more videos dropping this week for the ForgeBox one as well. So lots of content coming. So, yep, we're trying to get things rolling, and we're getting excited for Into the Box, and so everything picks up when we get excited. Okay, CFCasts is done. Conferences. So DockerCon's coming up May 10th. Free online virtual conference. Again, if you're doing anything with Docker, it's great. They got lots of content there, lots of tracks. There's plenty of things you can find to watch, and it's free. So go check that out. And they usually have the videos available, different time zones, and available after the fact too. So it's a great conference. Highly recommend it. Even better in person, but oh well.
That's docker.com/DockerCon. Which makes it sound like Donkey Kong.
I know, I mess it up every time, so that's why I let you do it.
Cool. All right, also coming up, May 24th through 26th this year, it's the MS Build Conference. Come together at Microsoft Build, the 24th to 26th, to explore the latest innovations in code and application development. I'm guessing VS Code may play a pretty big role. Get insights from peers and experts from around the world, regional spotlights, one-on-one bookings available, and more. I'm going for the and more. All that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it looks like a good conference, and again, there's a lot more Microsoft tools, GitHub stuff in there, VS Code, like you said, that might be relevant, even if you're not a doc.
Sure, I forgot about that. They do own GitHub now, don't they?
Yep, they own a lot.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Also coming up in Fort Lauderdale, this is June 8th through 10th. June 8th through 10th. Actually, this the famous slogan: Beach Code View. It's a Vue.js conference. It's the US Vue.js conference. That is on June 8th, and that's a workshop day. And the main conference is from June 9th to June 10th. So you can go to Fort Lauderdale, bring the family, have them go to the beach. You go to the conference, then go to the beach.
Yep, I know. I was hoping to make it this year, but just the schedules don't work with summer school stuff and teacher responsibilities, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll make it one time. But I'll be able to watch it online, so I'll be excited for that too. Next up, we have the Adobe Developer Week, July 18th through 22nd. We mentioned earlier. Got the link in the chat for you already. And if you want to check that out, hopefully they'll get the speaker list updated soon on the agenda as well. Oh man, lots of conferences. Got another one for us here? What about that conference?
Oh, that conference. Yeah. Oof, no, just kidding. It actually is called That Conference. It's a full stack tech obsessed community up in Wisconsin. That's actually how they describe themselves. It's kind of like a coding Tinder or a coding dating site. Anyway, howdy, we're a full stack tech obsessed community of fun code loving humans who share and learn together. We geek out in Texas and Wisconsin once a year, but we host digital events all the time. So it's located in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. That's on July 25th through the 28th. It's a 4-day summer camp for developers passionate about learning all things mobile, web, cloud and technology. Basically, it's a 4-day hackathon, it sounds like, which sounds pretty cool.
At a water park, which is even better.
Yeah, which exactly. And what's even cool about it is that Daniel Garcia from Ortus is speaking there.
Yep.
And so he's one of the presenters. And Daniel, he's sharp. He's always worth listening to. So definitely check his that stuff out as well.
Yeah, we have to say that because he's watching in the chat.
he is, as a matter of fact. But I would have said
Just
so
kidding.
even if he wasn't actually in the chat.
I know. He's a good guy.
Because he watches, because he goes back and watches later. But I'd probably say it anyway. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we also have CF Summit. Again, we're waiting for the final official confirmation. We did see a tweet that popped up for like an hour or two that said it was October 3rd and 4th, but I think we have to wait for the official status there. But Mark Takata
has been deleted.
Yeah, that original with the dates was deleted, but Mark said he's happy to see that it'll be back in Las Vegas in October of 2022. So the dates are roughish, but hopefully we'll find out more soon. And I'm sure worst case they'll have more information the developer week, but that seems like it'd be too close to it. So, but yep, we should have it very soon. So.
All right, cool. So before we were talking about the Vue.js conference, that was in June. This is something different. This is Vue.js Forge. This is actually organized by Vue School. This is in June 29th through 30th. It is the largest hands-on Vue.js event. As it says here, team up with thousands of fellow Vue.js devs from around the globe to build a real-world application in just 2 days in this free hackathon-style event. Make connections, build together, learn together. Sign up as an individual or sign up as a company by booking a call. And that website is vuejsforge.com.
Yep, that's
as demonstrated
really
right
cool. I already signed up. I have to find out about the call stuff for the company. So it's like, it'd be kind of cool to maybe merge with a couple of other Ortus people, or maybe from the community too. Just have some shared backgrounds. But it looks pretty cool. And the interesting thing is, they have mentors on there. They're going to be releasing information about the project before time. So we'll find out before. So yeah, if we prepare, we might be able to do pretty good on that. But it'll be fun anyway.
Well, it's a 2-day hackathon conference for free. That's amazing.
Yep. Pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
So, okay. Next up, Into the Box 2022. Dates are set in stone. Blood signed. We're going all in now. So it's
I'm
September.
Just curious whose blood was actually used, because I
Luis.
feel like I should have been tapped for that as the new guy, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, so it's going to be September 6th, 7th, 8th. The call for speakers, like you said, it's supposed to be over, but we're letting it fly a little bit. So, last minute if you want to get that in there. I'm already grabbing all these links down, just so you know.
Okay, gotcha.
What a copy paste roll. But
copied one, but it was already up there. Copied another one, it was already up there.
Yep.
Yeah, we're basically in kind of like the penalty time in soccer. This is like extended conference time. Technically, it's done, but it'll go on for an undetermined amount of time until it's over. So sign up quickly.
Yep, exactly. So the conference site has more information. The early bird prices are up there. You can sign up for just the conference or the workshop and the conference. And those workshop dates will be here very soon too, as we mentioned. And then the video is up on CFCasts, like we said. So if you go to series and click on Into the Box 2021, you'll see a bunch of those are now free. So yeah, we got
conference information. Into the Box Latam. Now this is our Latin American conference. The tentative dates right now, these are tentative, not solid-ish. These are tentative, yes. December 1st and 2nd. And that is being held, I believe, in San Salvador. Is that correct?
Yep, I believe so.
Okay. And unfortunately, though, we have news about CF Camp. So there's no CF Camp 2022. They say that they'll be trying again in summer 2023. The TLDR basically is there's too much uncertainty right now, and things are complicated. Getting into the details, it has to do with basically how German hotels are handling the no questions asked cancellation policy if anything comes up with COVID. There's unfortunately, a war going on two countries, 2 countries over. So there's some economic uncertainty, and basically there's just the general annoyances around international travel and that kind of stuff. So.
Yep. I mean, basically, they'd have to spend so much time, energy, and money trying to make the event safe, and it still may not even work out that way. So they just decided best to wait, and then there's planning for maybe summer 2023. Last time they were going to hold it was in summertime, so hopefully that makes more time for all us U.S. people traveling to Europe. I can take my family or whatever too, so I'm allowed to leave this country. That'll be kind of fun. So looking forward to it. So. yeah, glad they could get the information out. Sorry we've been bugging them every week saying we don't know, but people have been asking us when is, what's up with CF Camp. So now we know. So none for 2022. Hopefully summer 2023.
Seriously, I was kind of bummed because actually for the longest time I wanted to go to Scotch in the Rocks, and then that isn't there anymore. And then CF Camp not happening this year, so I'm like, I want to go to Europe, but I need a reason to actually do so.
I know the year that Scotch and Rocks ended was the year I'm like, I'm going. I'm like,
exactly. Of course, a reason to go to Europe, the people I know, the actual cultural heritage, the fact of just traveling in general. No, those aren't enough. I need a conference.
Yeah, I know, but that's the funny thing because as soon as I said, hey, I should be going to CF Camp this year, I'm like, I'm actually going. Talk to the wife and everything. COVID hit. I was like, really? So I guess I'm cursed. So sorry, guys.
That's true. As Adam Cameron pointing, goes, bloody hell, you don't need a conference as an excuse to go. Go to Europe. All right, fair enough. I've been called out. It's all right.
Yep. Okay. So lots and lots going on there. Let's get to the other lots and lots. Blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. So, first up, we have a short little blog post from Adam Cameron. I know short and Adam Cameron don't really go together, but this one is the case. So he's saying, work with me, revisited. So basically in January he posted about working with him, and they hired somebody and it worked well. So well that they're actually going to be hiring another person. They need someone with strong CFML skills to get in position, and then they're basically looking at, they are migrating their stack over to Kotlin in the end. But they're looking for a strong developer. So we got a little bit more in the job section where we'll talk about the job offering. But yeah, that's a short blog post from Adam Cameron. And then right after that, we have one from Ben Adele. So this is an interesting one. So this one has big words, so I don't know if I can handle it or not, but I'm going to give it a whirl.
If you want to tag me in, feel free.
Yeah, so it's talking about considering approaches to handling MySQL key conflicts in CFML Lucee. And so basically he was talking about ways to, enforce data with unique key constraints and drive idempotent workflows. You want to figure that one out? Yeah. Basically from what it looks like is, he's trying to insert data, and if the data already exists, he's going to insert another data point with a different key. So in other words, you're always sort of improving the record by adding a new, like a dual key. So it's got a primary key and like a secondary key. The primary key never changes, but the secondary key does. So it's kind of like versioning of it. So every time you add a record or update it, you're basically just incrementing the version. And so he was talking about how to try and make it work. And should he do it in the DAO? Should he do it in like a gateway? Should he let the database do it? And so he walks through it. But, I mean, that's about as far as I can get without looking like an idiot. So I should probably let you guys read it and make your own decisions.
Report back, see how we did.
Yeah, but basically that's what the problem is. And then he talks about a solution and different things about it. So, yeah, I think it was a good blog post for sure. And like I said, probably a little bit too much for me to explain, but Ben does a good job of it. So, yeah. But I like the idea, though.
Biggest thing on there, we'll have that is the big word of the day, the idempotent. Idempotent basically means, can you run the same thing over and over again without having multiple side effects from it?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, get call should be idempotent, or however you say it.
However you said it, exactly. I said it quickly, but really is how you say it. You kind of gloss over it. Have enough confidence in the right spot. People know,
Yeah, exactly.
People will be impressed.
Yep. So what do we got next?
Okay, we got next. All right, blog from Peter Amiri from about CFWheels. The CFWheels 2.3.0 release candidates released. Anyway, as you were saying before, not only it's been good for a while. There's been a lot of contributors, but he wanted to make sure that everything with the new CI pipeline was in place. So that's why it's a release candidate and not a finished product. So go check it out, do some debugging, do some testing, and see how it comes out. So the details about that are in the blog post that Gavin just posted in the chat.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about them a little bit more later too. Secret Squirrel. Okay, so we have another one from Adam. This time is not so short. So this one I found was pretty interesting. My response to his tweet was what? Because CFML with Lucee, true isn't necessarily the same as true. So I was like, So apparently he was going to work on his tiny test framework, which 6 months ago he decided he was going to basically write a testing framework so he could test the framework as he tested it, as he built it. And, he just wanted to play. Adam likes to play. So when he plays, he finds bugs. And so he started off with this little matcher, like a to be true matcher. And so one of his first tests, he wrote, basically x equals something, expect x dot equals x to be true. And then apparently it worked fine in ColdFusion, but Lucee says, no, x is not x, something is not something. And so that's where he got a little confused, and he dove into it and did a little bit more research. And so he did a right dump comparing, E to E, T to T, using different equals, and basically you got some weird stuff where Lucee throws a false if you're using triple evaluate, so equals equals equals. So apparently it's different, and I assume, I haven't read the whole thing, I assume it's because aren't strings immutable in Lucee or something? I don't know, I have to go look. But anyway, I thought it was really interesting, and it deserves further research. So I haven't looked into this here, but yeah, so basically he was trying to, check the identity, and he dives in deep. Like I said, not a short one. But I like how he summarizes his findings. Final score: new Lucee bug 1, new ColdFusion bugs 3, lines of code written to verify bugs 72. Yeah,
Nice.
will to live not existent anymore.
Yours needed. Greater than 0.
Yep, exactly. But yeah, again, those little weird things that just drive you crazy. But luckily we have people like Adam to get to the bottom of it, report them, and hopefully we get them fixed.
Very yes, immutable, the second word of the day, and they both begin with I, which is great. Very important words in coding in general.
Yes, I am important. Yep.
So basically, as a quick thing for those people that are just kind of like let's say on the shallower end of ColdFusion, kind of making their way in there, or have not ever, or ColdFusion developers that have not used things like in JavaScript or anything else. Equals obviously is when you assign something. Equals is when you're comparing two values to see if they have an equal value. But equals is 3 equals, basically checks data types too. At least that's what it checks in JavaScript. I actually didn't realize that you could use equals in ColdFusion. This is a very educational podcast. I love it. Okay.
So actually Adam's got something to say. He says, nope, it's because Lucee uses different instances of Boolean true, so they're not in different memory locations. So equals says no. They kind of messed up their implementation. Yeah. See, that's the thing, is I was thinking it wasn't the data type necessarily or anything. I thought it was the memory reference. Like JavaScript is the same way. Is it the same? Is it pointing to the same thing? If you made two variables and they're different in memory, then the equals would be not equal. But if they're the same item in memory, like a reference, basically, But Lucee checks memory location, not type or value. So Lucee checks that it's the exact same item.
I was thinking, going to a whole conversation about how object are basically something, the actual thing itself, for a reference to the thing, and that gets spirals out of control when it comes to that kind of conversation.
Yep. So next.
Cool. Moving on. All right. Another blog post by Eric Peterson talking about the ColdBox Elixir that we already talked about originally before, but this is the blog post that goes along with it. So putting that in the chat as we speak. Oh, you already did. Gavin and I are racing here, and I'm losing every single one. All right.
Okay. So next up, we have another one from Ben, and so this is like a double whammy. So I'm going to go over both of them. So basically, this follows on to Ben's talk about arrays, and when he was trying to do 2 million items or something last week. And so Brad's first up told him about sublist. So he used array.sublist, and it was crazy fast. But then he figured out that sublist actually returns a wrapper to the original array, not the new array. So basically what it is, it's like a little wrapper that just mirrors or windows off just a piece of the array. So if you mutate the results, it actually would not be safe. And so he looks at doing some different things here to basically take the sublist and then duplicate it, make its own separate array by using slices and all this stuff. So that's what he sort of works through. And then after that, he goes back and looks at a different thing, basically the array from Java, to figure out if that works any better or differently. And so I thought it was kind of neat. Again, he's got multiple blogs building on top of it. So, so he talked about the array.from again, from JavaScript, but, they have that built into Java too. So he was looking at these options here and working through it. And again, caution. Following code is just for the sake of discussion, not meant to be robust or correct. So,
translation. I know this is not necessarily how you would do it, but go with me here.
I like the name arrayish struct, arrayish slice. So, but yeah.
This whole podcast is full of like ishes today. It's like, I don't know, it's ish. True isn't true. Basically, we're just undermining any kind of truth statement that someone makes today.
Yep. It sounds like my kids have had too much influence here.
I know, seriously.
And then one more thing. So then Scott Steinbeck also added a whole bunch of CF Docs goodies. And so he tweeted about that. And we probably should have Scott like come on the show or do a video or something, because basically he has a bunch of pull requests here. So example dialog, generate JSON for a pull request. So a little helper there. And then he has another helper. So this one, add recent items to the top menu in CF Docs. Oh, that's cool. Recent items. I like that. And then open open graph meta stuff to the site. So when you go to share it, he had a picture he sent me. But yeah, the picture shows basically when you share it to Slack or anything else, it like gives you a nice little footer. And this one here. Add copy to clipboard feature. So now you can copy to clipboard from all those examples and stuff. Pretty cool. And look, they're being merged into master. So all that stuff should be on CF Docs like right now. So pretty cool. Thanks Scott for all that work. I know he uses it all the time. He's like, I should make it better. So that's one cool thing about open source, right? We can improve our tools we're using. And that's something he used all the time, and he had ways to make it better. And that recent one is really cool because I will be using the heck out of that. So
cool. Yeah, and for those people that actually are watching this that didn't know, CF Docs actually is an open source ColdFusion docs source. So if you go on there, you think that it's missing an example or find some typos, by all means, jump in. It's on GitHub. Fork it, fix it, submit the changes, and you too can be contributing back to the world around you.
Yep.
All right. Coming up next, okay, again by Peter and Mary. So this is more about CFWheels, but not so much about the release of CFWheels per se. But what's interesting about this is that CFWheels has actually changed how they're distributing things. So for many years, CFWheels embraced the distribution of plugins using ForgeBox packages. So you do the installation, but you can install plugins via ForgeBox. But they've used that instead of maintaining their own directory. But the framework itself basically was, as he puts in here, elusive. Okay. Well, there's some work done in the last couple of months to put out the packages for the framework, but the packages were being maintained by hand, which gets really arduous when you're trying to keep things in versions and releases and everything else. So as we've already talked about before in the show, they've gone to a brand new CI workflow, continuous integration workflow based on GitHub Actions. And now the publishing, the building, and everything else is fully automated. All right, it says here, give credit where credit is due. The new workflow borrows heavily from the ColdBox workflow. It uses GitHub Actions, Ant, and CommandBox to automate the process. And what's cool about that, especially, he kind of talks a little more about the details and how he put it together in the blog post, which I thought was really kind of cool.
Yep, and he confused the heck out of me because I was doing the ForgeBox module of the week, and I went back and I'm like, wait a minute, it says this module is brand new, but it was here 2 months ago. What the heck's going on? And then I was like, looked at the versions, and the versions were added in reverse order. I'm like, wait a minute, how can the most recent one be the oldest one, and the oldest one be... I was like, what is going on? So I looked up and I found the blog post. I'm like, oh, that's what is going on. So they republished all their stuff. So it confused me a little bit there. But yeah, so it's good to see them, using CI and making their lives easier with continuous integration and post them out there. So yeah, everyone can keep up on it. So very cool. So next up, we have another blog post by Ben Nadal, and this one here is more of a soft skills or touchy-feely one. Yes, Ben Nadal, he's a soft guy too, not just a big tough man. But if we look here, rope and battling post-deployment deployment depression. When I read this at first, I was like, wait, what? But then I read it, and it does kind of make sense. So he's talking about how he enabled a feature flag production, quietly released a new, featured all his customers, and it was an awesome week's work. Everything was going great and everything else. He was dropping the party parrot and the rocket ship emojis everywhere, And then when the dust settled, that post-deployment depression set in, as it always does. And this is the cycle that he experiences in product development. You get excitement, deployment, depression, repeat. And he talks about how his former engineering manager, Rich Armstrong, called this rope. And I was a little concerned about the rope and the depression, and they can be touchy-feely with that stuff these days. But it's all about reliable, organized, productive, effective. And so he breaks down the different steps. It was pretty cool. So you do sort of get that way. You work on a big project, and then you get to the end of it. It's like, okay, what should I do next? And this sort of talks about that. Basically you've got a reliable product that everything's good, and but basically at the end of the day you got to move on. Then you got to get organized, find your place, and figure out what else needs to be worked on next. Then you get productive, make it effective, and then you sort of start all over again. And I can see Ben doing this, so this little GIF for those watching this is pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah, so his take is deployment, depression, repeat. But he's okay with it. He says, it happens, you move on. But I thought it was pretty cool. So
it's so in the movies it's easier because you have like this big emotional experience where it's like this great thing that happens, and then they cut away to the next thing. They don't have to say, there's not that emotional transition from, all right, save the world, lunch. You know what I mean? It's like, what happens after the big emotional moment, or after all the bad guys are laughing like crazy, and then they all stop laughing and then get back to their normal lives.
Yeah. Yeah, and Adam said the trick is not to do big projects. Deploy. Makes the code more like cattle versus a pet. And he's right. But, even like I said, Ben said it was a week's worth of work. But, it's just people own their code. Some people are, more attached to their code, and some people aren't, and that's okay. But, yeah, so it was just interesting. It's like big projects feel that way. No matter how much work you've done on it and deployed the code, and all of a sudden people start using it, it's different. But, Adam's calling being a sook. Yeah, you can call him that. That's fine.
Sure. Which, by the way, it means something different if you're in English or part of the Commonwealth. I read that and I'm like, he's a sock? What are you talking about? I think it means a softie. There you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we call people sookie bubbas, like crybabies.
Sookie bubba. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know where the heck he comes from, but himself, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've teased the fact that we have dates for Fruit of the Box 2022. Talked about why we changed the dates and everything else, but here are some of the details. All right, we said that it is going to be September 8th is going to be our conference. 6th through 8th. Tuesday, September 6th is the conference day. The rest of the conference will be on 7th and 8th. It's going to be at a new venue this year, which is the Houston City Place Marriott at Springwoods Village. I'm sorry. So, if you want be more in depth about the date changes and everything else, but those are the details for the conference.
Yep. And then one more for you. So,
Yep. Okay. Also not coming up, but basically something to highlight. This was a podcast from CF Live. So the idea here was an Adobe ColdFusion and Lucee roundtable. And so at the table was Charlie Earhart, Gert Franz, Mark Drew, and Ben Nadell. There's a lot of brain power there. Charlie Earhart, Gert Franz, Mark Drew, and Ben Nadell talking about ACF and Lucee in this episode of the CF Live podcast with host Michaela Light from TerraTech. So there's the link up there in the chat.
Yeah, so it sounds like a pretty interesting group. I know that a couple of people there are kind of like on the fence between the two, and a couple are a little more skewed, but it's on my playlist there, so I need to listen to the rest of that. But
any chairs damaged in the melee, do you think, halfway through?
It sounded like the people involved really enjoyed it. It was a good talk and everything. Like I said, I saw a couple of tweets from the people involved sharing it. And so, yeah, it'd be kind of good to hear from them. I haven't seen a couple of them over the pond for a while, Mark and Gert. But obviously we hear a little more with Charlie and to Ben.
No fireworks. Okay.
Yep, no fireworks. Thanks, John.
And just to be clear, that was meant to be more like a Lucee Adobe ColdFusion. I kind of making up drama there. As far as I know, no one that was there has any beef with anybody else. So I'm just, that was not meant to be gossip.
Yeah, for sure. And then we have another podcast too. So I've been going back through the backlog of the Working Code podcast, and they had a new one that just came out. We don't usually spotlight it every week because every week they have one, so you guys should be listening to them as well. So CF Live and the Working Code podcast are great podcasts. You should add them to your subscription list. But this one, it's sort of a hit home. Basically, the latest episode, actually brought up by Mingo Hagen, was wearing too many hats. And Esmeralda, one of the Ortus team members, I've worked with her for years. She calls me the Mad Hatter because the number of hats I wear is numerous, and you might have figured that out from all the different things that I do. I can't sit still, so I wear too many hats. So this one, they talk about that and dive into it, and best practices, and overdoing it or underdoing it. The one of those things where it's like you can be the jack of all trades but master of none, or
Right.
stuff like that. So I think it's I really like their podcast. They dive into more of those sort of like water cooler type conversations or whatnot. And yeah, they talk about a lot of interesting viewpoints that developers should be thinking about talking about. So highly recommend it.
It's true, because you're right. If you're the entire development team, it's cool about that. And it mentions here that there's some benefits to that, but there's also it's very difficult to grow because there's no outside force that's actually operating on you to actually make your code better or to operate better or find more best practices. And you don't usually have a whole lot of extra mental space in order to apply to growth.
Yep, exactly. You got to fight harder for that. So
Yeah.
but yeah, but as Scott said, sometimes a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes it's better than a master of one. Yep, because sometimes it's good to know a little bit more than just your one thing, because sometimes the way things interact is just as important. And so, yeah, lots of it. But I also see Peter said that thanks for all the mention, guys, but he lost power here. He's listening on his phone. He might be a little bit behind, but yeah. Oh,
Just to be clear,
Scott's,
his phone is not the source of the new CI build. Just want to be clear.
No, Scott says that's the actual quote. Oh, I didn't know there was an actual quote behind it. Interesting. Okay, well, let's scoop to CFML jobs.
Usually the connotation of that is meant to be that it's a negative thing, but maybe that's one of those things where it's like good is better than nothing. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, continue on.
So CFML jobs. So up on getcfmljobs.com, we have 75 listings for ColdFusion positions, but there's no new ones this week. But we have a few that were listed in other places. So you want to tell us about those?
Yep. For example, Ortus Solutions. If you go to the ortussolutions.com/about-us/careers, there's also some link on Consortium. So Consortium Inc. is hiring. That's on Dice. So dice.com, and the link will be up there in the chat.
Yep.
But yeah, check out the Ortus careers, and I'll tell you more about what they're actually looking for. And by they, I mean we.
Yep. So we have
my job that they're replacing, but I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I think we're growing, not cutting people away. Don't worry about that. But yeah, we do have a job in the El Salvador team as well as the U.S. team, so we have a couple of different offerings there. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Adam Cameron is looking for someone to join his team, and so he shared this link with us here. So, senior application developer in the UK, easy direct debits, and so if this is you, if you're a highly experienced and skilled full stack developer. How'd you get in there, Adam? Just kidding. Yeah, so basically this is what they're looking for. They're looking for object-oriented CFML experience. Test automation would be good, strong experience, not some. But yeah, so, looks like a pretty good checklist there. So if you guys are strong on that, and they are in the UK, so make sure that you check that out. But that's on easydirectdebits.co.uk. So look into it a little bit more, and and as Adam said, they're trying to make up for the fact that they hired him accidentally. So help them out, fix them. But yeah, so if you want to find out more, again, Adam does have some stuff on his blog about the job, and that job description is pretty thorough.
Notice halfway down, it actually said knowledge of CFWheels was a plus. They're just everywhere today.
Yep. Yeah, it's good. A lot of good stuff going on. Okay, so module of the week. ForgeBox module of the week is CFWheels.
CFWheels.
Yeah, we couldn't go too far, but saying everything from CFWheels, because they updated like every package, right?
Yep. So basically, what there is there's the main template that you can download. Okay, there's also a dynamic. It says Hello Dynamic template, Hello Pages template, Hello World template, and all those things are now separate. And you can kind of install them separately, if you so choose, right from the ForgeBox website.
Yep. So you got CFWheels Core. And look, you've even got CFWheels plugins up here. Again, you've got templates. And so on the left-hand side, you may have noticed we actually have categories for CFWheels plugins and templates, and then the core is under MVC. So, but yeah, a lot of stuff here you can go look through. But see, they've got bcrypt for CFWheels, Ben's JSON serializer, so a lot of different things, a lot of plugins, the framework. CFWheels CLI commands are in here now too. It's experimental, but go check it out. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. I mean, they've just really dove right in, and as I mentioned, they've redeployed all their packages, and they've got a nice little streamlined CI going. So very cool to see. So go check them out if you're using CFWheels or you're thinking about it. Definitely a good place to go.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. So this time we have GitLab workflow. So I use GitLab quite a lot. I know the GitLens code extension is pretty good, which obviously it ties into just Git generally, so that's pretty cool. But this extension integrates GitLab into VS Code. So after you set up the extension, you can do a lot of different things. You can see your GitLab issues, merge requests, view the issues, comments, merge requests, change files, etc. You can view and review those merge requests. You can validate your GitLab CI/CD config, so you can run a command locally, so you can check and see if your pipeline is going to blow up or not, which I would find really useful because I break them a lot. You can also manage your pipelines. You can view your pipeline status, open related merge requests, and there's all sorts of advanced pipeline actions too. So if you've got stuff that fails, you can retry it. So a lot of cool stuff going on in that.
Including snippets. You can manage your snippets, create and insert snippets, apply snippet patches. So just curious on the actual GitLab, on the GitLab thing, does that mean that you can actually see the blame stuff right from your IDE, so you actually know who wrote this?
GitLab, actually the GitLens one already does that, and that because it just ties into normal Git stuff. So this one here, I don't know if it would go on top of it or not, but basically has all the GitLab pieces on top of it. So it ties more into the architecture pieces, just like the GitHub, the GitLens one I believe ties into GitHub as well, gives you actions to be able to do issues and other things too. But GitLens has a bunch of just general Git stuff which does that. But you can actually
browse the GitLab repository directly from VS Studio with this GitLab workflow. Autocomplete GitLab CI/CD variables in your .gitlab-ci.yaml pipeline files, and basically manage your YML or YAML files.
Yeah, and so the cool thing is when you do like a git add remote, it'll choose existing remotes from the GitLab. The git clone, you can basically look through all your GitLab instances. And the cool thing was, I thought, that it supported multiple GitLab endpoints. So if you have mainly the gitlab.com, which I use for some free stuff from some of my personal projects because I like to play with the pipelines. But also if we have some clients that use their own hosted GitLab, you can actually set up multiple, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, pretty happy to see those. So if you guys are looking to if you play with GitLab, or if you haven't, let's say the free tier is really awesome too. So go check that out as well. But yeah, the extension looks really awesome.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you to our Patreon supporters. These individuals are personally supporting our open source initiatives to ensure the great tooling like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, all the other boxes that keep getting continuous development they need. It funds the cloud infrastructure at our community that our community relies on, like ForgeBox, our package management tool. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/OrtusSolutions.
Yep. So we have annual memberships now, so you can save 10% of the different packages we have. But remember, bronze packages and up get a ForgeBox Pro and the CFCast subscription as a perk. So that means you can get access to all of those cool videos, even the ones that aren't free, just by being a Patreon supporter. And then, obviously, if you're just any level, you get a profile badge on the community website, and you get your own private forum access on the community website too. And that's a really cool little feature. And we're loving the community site. I'm trying to get on there more often now to help people where I can. So we're keeping that busy. But also, it's hard-earned money that you guys spend. We really want to thank you guys, and we're still at the point where we can read all the names, but soon we're gonna have to cut off, draw a line in the sand, because apparently reading the names on this podcast is only for certain levels and above. So right now everyone's getting a freebie. So if you're any member, you're getting read. So Everyone's like, oh man, when we cut the list down, it'll be much easier to say. So this time it's your turn. So you read them all.
It's like Gilligan's Island, where they like do like the first part of the cast, then say and the rest.
Yeah.
And so, not that anyone that is supporting us is part of the rest. We appreciate each and every single person that does it. For example, we really appreciate John Wilson from Synaptrex, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jonathan Perrett, Jeffrey McGee from Sunstar Media, Dean Maunder, Joseph Lamore, Don Bellamy, Jan Yannick, Lakshmi Trijahati, Carl Von Stetten, Jeremy Adams, Didier Lisnecki, Matthew Clemente, Daniel Garcia, Scott Steinbeck from Agri-Tracking Systems, Ben Liddell, Brett DeLine, Kai Koenig, Charlie Earhart, Jonas Erickson, Jason Dager, Sean Oden, Matthew Darby, Ross Phillips, Edgardo Cabeza, the dancer himself, Patrick Flynn, Stephanie Monhe, John Wish, Kevin Wright, and Peter Amiri.
Yep, great list there. Thank you, everybody. I know it's hard to part with your hard-earned money, but we thank you and appreciate it. Remember, we also want to thank everybody else out there that helps the community one way or the other. With pull requests, documentation, projects that they maintain, a lot of great things. All make this community better, and that's the goal, right? The better the community is, the better the language will do, and we all win. So thanks, everybody. And if you want to get that list, you can go to ortussolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. And then, but I think we made it. We made it, Dan. It's only an hour, so that's not bad.
We did it. Not bad. Slid there right underneath the time limit.
Yep. But great lot of news, lots of stuff going on. But yeah, everybody have a great week, and we'll catch you all next week.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Bye, everybody. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.